play to any direction, or just talk to you guys, like look your direction, that kind of thing? Do I need to?
You can do whatever you want, whatever's natural. Cool. Yeah. You good?
I'm good.
Pressing the button.
Okay.
Good, Mrs. Ryan?
Good.
Audio and everything. I love it.
That's exciting.
Even have some lights. Feels like we're very out of practice, but for everyone else, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the old late night play set. Tonight is Tuesday, August 20th, 2019. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans. We're your hosts for the evening. It's tonight's show, late night play set. We're working on it. You know what's going on. We're back. All right, where to start? We left you on Wednesday of last week saying we would be here on Thursday with the guest who's here tonight. There's no kerfuffle. There's no hubbub. Actually, there's a lot of drama. We're pretty pissed off about it. Everything's great. And by the way, I wrote it phonetically, but I hope I wrote it phonetically correctly. Steve Mazan.
You nailed it.
Fantastic. Well,
do you mind me asking how you spelled it phonetically?
May-Zahn.
Oh, nice. The Zahn.
Yeah,
Like
Steve Zahn,
yeah.
sure.
Well done. I always do maze, like go through a maze and then on.
Oh.
But that's...
Yeah.
Because I don't trust people. You did it probably the smart way.
I did. Well, you've got to relate to yourself and whatever your brain would do, right? Oh, my goodness. Anyway, Steve Mazan is here. Now, you're maybe going to know the name from comedy for sure, but more specifically to what we do here, Mrs. Ryan, he is... did you produce the documentary as well? Or could I call you a documentarian right now?
Yeah, one of the producers by...
Documentarian and certainly the focus and star of Dying to Do Letterman. Couldn't care less about doing this show, apparently. But that's right. We should have done a show and done the old, we ran out of time for Steve Mazan today. We'll have to have him back at his earliest convenience.
That would have been good.
Anyway, whatever. He's here today. We're going to have a great conversation. We're already warmed up with each other, so I think that's going to go well. Mrs. Ryan, in the meantime, some stuff to talk about. The weekend, we ended up having Breakfast Club. We didn't get to talk about it. We didn't do a TBT. We'll do that this week. But Breakfast Club... what happened? Oh, okay. I remember. Do you?
A little bit.
Yeah. It was fine. It was great. It was uneventful. Not huge. I don't remember. Probably 10 cars, something like that. But as we were all kind of getting ready to go, Carson Chan and Derek Whitaker showed up, and then we had our late breakfast, little private breakfast with those guys. I did a nice little photo shoot out at the sign and stuff. So hello and goodbye to Carson Chan, who is back in Hong Kong now. He ended up being able to make that Breakfast Club because he couldn't fly out the week prior because of the political climate in Hong Kong. They were not taking inbound flights. So whatever. But we love you, Carson. Awesome to see you at Breakfast Club. Derek Whitaker, same thing. We Live Machinery. Go watch it on Chassis Media. That was Breakfast Club. Mrs. Ryan, what did we do on Saturday? Do you remember?
No.
Really?
Yeah, really.
We went to Malibu Kitchen with TLG.
I definitely remember now. That was a super fun day. I love those guys.
Marco Gerasi from TLG, Porsche Service. What was it? Get your Porsche some TLC. Come on home to TLG. That's right.
Good job.
I'm using it. We're going to make it into a commercial for them. It was a great time, though, over at Malibu Kitchen. Typical Susie being a fantastic host, and even Bill was nice and waved. So. Progress. And Sunday, Mrs. Ryan, we had the 5 C's car event. The 5 C's car, coffee, chocolate, Culver City. Cars, did I get that right? Cars, coffee, chocolate, Culver City. Yep.
I didn't know that's what it was for.
Right. So I've taken to, because this is what I do apparently, I've taken to renaming it 5 C's. Fiveseas. 5 C's.
A couple of people told me they only came because of us, so they named it Our Cars and Coffee, which...
Oh, well, we weren't trying to do that by any means, but,
no, but I
we definitely helped promote it because of our friends Gerttu and Sasha from Beverly Hills Porsche, but also from Ren Works Stat. It's his company as well. Ryan wants some houndstooth, so we have to be really nice to them to kiss up for them to sponsor some houndstooth interior inserts for Mrs. Ryan.
Yes, please.
And that's all I have from the weekend. Is that, and I know we did more stuff, but gosh, there was pool time and socializing. So I think we saw Mark Platinum Palomino, I think, as well. Hung out with a lot of people. Busy weekend.
Got to see a lot of people not at Car Week also.
Oh my gosh! That's it. Big thing I forgot. It was on the card last week. You, one of these days. Monterey Car Week. We were supposed to go. On Thursday, we made the call that we were not going to go. Mrs. Ryan's legs stopped working, and we just made a call. So sorry about that.
Sorry, guys.
I think it was all the stress from our guest not showing up that day. Pretty sure that's what it was.
I will lean on that, yes.
Anyway, it was a great weekend. Everything is good. And we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You want to get to some videos?
Yes, please.
I feel we're all properly warmed up and caught up. All right, some videos. We've got an East Coast feed and we've got an orange curtain. What would you like first, Mrs. Ryan?
East Coast feed, please.
All righty. Checking in with Danbury Chive. The East Coast feed. Roll it out.
Hi, Jay and Nicole. Hi, Jay and Nicole. Just a quick East Coast feed for you guys. Tell them where we went today, Monkey. We had a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
We went to brunch at Valencia
Yeah.
in Norwalk.
Yeah.
Was it yummy?
Yeah.
What did you eat? Pancakes? Yeah, and her favorite apple juice, just so you know. Then we took a nap. And then where we go?
I can barely hear them. Can you
Keep
hear
swimming.
them? No. Okay.
And
We'll have to bump
so
this
what's
up in
funny
post to
story
laugh later.
Is that we two guys were going to get in the pool, two brothers, and they're on the larger side. And so she, of course, is 3. So out loud, she's like, "Daddy, look at that big guy!" And I'm like, "Oh Christ, stop that!" You know, it was one of those fun parenting moments. That was about it.
This
What we
sounds
do
like a
after that?
confessional, but I can't hear it.
And then we watched Batman. Right?
She's adorable, though.
And who was in the Batman
Yeah.
movie? Huh? Tell Jay and Nicole. They have no idea who's in this movie. There's a new one called Hush, right? Did you like it? All right. Well, she's obviously not really talkative. But anyway, just want to send some random love. East Coast feed. Right, Jonesy? Tell them East Coast feed.
Let's go feed.
There we go.
There you
Let
go.
me-
Oh, my goodness. I love that kid.
That is a cute
Even,
little
couldn't hear a
girl.
word she said, but man, I love that kid.
Yeah, good facial expressions on that one.
Clearly nighttime, they were clearly saying, there's a story from the day, but I didn't hear a word of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be able to hear it at home, so whatever. Mrs. Ryan, let's take a look behind the orange curtain. Check in with our friends down in, I don't know where they are. Probably up at Monterey Car Week. Paul Kennel, take it away. Roll it out.
Good evening, Jay and Nicole Ryan. This is Paul Kennel from Behind the Orange Curtain. Actually, way up north in Monterey for Car Week. That is a speedster behind us. I'm at the Porsche Zentrum. And I'm guessing you probably think Ramsey Potts is probably here, going to pop up nowhere because I have this empty space. But no.
Ramsey, not this time. He's working tonight. He can't make it, but we're here.
It's our friend
Ray
Ray
Schaefer.
from Porsche Experience Center Atlanta. And I was gracious enough to get an invite from some friends and never been to Zentrum before, but you want to tell them what Zentrum is? Or
The Porsche Center, Zentrum, right? That's the center. So we're here at the Quail Porsche Zentrum, which, as you can see with the speedster behind us and the party that's going on tonight, going to be a lot of fun with Porsche friends. So wish you could be here. Great to see you guys again.
yeah, likewise.
Anytime.
Yeah, it's exciting to be here and miss you guys. Hope to see you up on the crest. Love you.
I don't know what to do. I'm beside myself. That's our two of our correspondents who have never worked together, never been in the same place together that I've seen, checking in together. Wow. So that was technically a behind the orange curtain backstage pass, technically.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was impressive,
Bravo, you guys. Kudos. For anyone who couldn't hear, that was Ray Schaefer from Porsche North America, Porsche Classic, and the Porsche Experience Center out there in Atlanta. He's in charge of the Heritage Gallery. He's the guy over there. And fantastic correspondent for this show. We love you, Ray Schaefer. Hang on. What a delight. I happen to have this handy. If not already, please consider following Ray Schaefer for your backstage pass to all things Porsche Classic, brand heritage, and travel-related material. That's ray.schaefer. SHAFFER. We love you, Ray Schaefer. Paul
you
Kennel,
guys so
we love
much.
you too. Paul Kramer, technically. We call him Paul Kennel. Mrs. Ryan. I mean, seriously, the whole top of show here is much longer than usual. We haven't even gotten to the news yet, nor Dave Watch. We have to do both. I'm going to do Dave Watch really quick, okay?
Okay.
All right. Because I think we don't have an
Mine
update.
down.
So it should be pretty easy. All right. Make that really easy. Here we go. All right. Regular viewers of this program will know, of course, that we have reached out a couple weeks ago to David Letterman to be a guest on this program. It's time. It's time. Even our guest today is shaking his head, saying it's time, nodding his head. He's nodding his head. He was nodding his head. I'm crazy. Anyway, today, Mrs. Ryan. Oh, shit. It's set up for the 15th. We'll just pick it up there, shall we? Let's see. No Dave on the 15th.
No Steve Mazan on the 15th.
No Steve. We double that. Well, should we? 2 X's.
Nothing
Letterman,
Dave
nor
at all.
dying on to get on Letterman. And that brings us to the 20th today. Here is an X denoting he is not here. But, Mrs. Ryan, as we said last week, we have made some progress. I still don't want to say what it is because it's stalled out since that progress. But we're one step closer than we were. And it's a good step. It's a good step with the right person to do it.
And I talked with that person this morning.
Oh, so maybe Mrs. Ryan has an update.
The update was just support and questioning about the update. So there will be more. There's more attention on it.
All you want is attention, right?
Yeah.
You make the decision from there. That's amazing. So we're actually being looked at.
Yes,
To
sir.
me, that's pretty darn close. I mean, we're going to talk about this when you get in here in a few minutes,
Yeah.
but you remember that moment, right? When you're getting looked at, it's almost like, okay, that's amazing. So that's great news. So how about that? I mean, I'll denote that calendar somehow else tomorrow when I have time to think about it. In the meantime, Mrs. Ryan, it's time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind. What's going on, Mrs. Ryan? Dun, 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 dun. Screwed it all up. There you go, zoomed in. Take it away, Mrs. Ryan.
Oh. There was a kid in Georgia whose mom owned a personalization shop.
I'm sorry?
There was a kid in Georgia whose mom owns a personalization shop. And so for back to school, she was like, let me make you a shirt. What do you want it to be? It can be anything you want. Trains or cartoons or whatever. And so he said, I wanted to say, I will be your friend. And he wore it on the first day of school. So I love that. And so everyone can Google this and support Nikki, and Blake is the kid's name.
That sounds wonderful. That's Mr. Rogers incarnate. That's the next generation.
Totally.
They know what's up.
It's at least starting. He was like, I will be your friend. And
I believe the children are our future.
Yo, man. Whatever it takes. Dave Chappelle is going to have a 5th special on Netflix
I
later
saw that.
this month.
Very excited about it. Obviously, he is quite good at what he does.
Yeah, he is super good, and there's I think 4 maybe. He made a deal for 3, so there's at least 3 up there.
and he gave him 4.
Yeah,
Way to get more deals. I mean, that is just...
for sure. But the coolest thing about this one is that what's that guy's name?
Chris
plays
Rock.
Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman narrates the trailer,
Yeah.
and it has
I haven't
nothing
seen it yet,
to
but I did hear
do
it.
with any of the material of the special. It's hilarious, this
Yeah.
trailer. So
It's a true teaser, because it really is not affiliated at all, but it gives you an idea that something's coming.
something's coming, and it's all white, and like where they shot it is crazy, and it's so cool. Good
Looking
job.
forward to that for sure. And Netflix, right?
Netflix, yeah. Have fun, guys. I know so many people tangentially involved. It is the coolest. Good job. There were 2 teenagers that water skied across Lake Michigan.
Let's hear it.
It was their last hurrah before one of them went to college.
Of course it was.
Whatever. It was 2.5 hours and 62 miles, and they made it. And
Keep it.
Sounds
Keep
crazy.
it.
I love that they're not like,
What
let's
did
have a
those
party. and
jelly
go.
legs feel like afterwards, right?
Probably horrible,
Holy
but like
crow.
I'm no judge of that these days. So
Yeah, you're
they
right.
seem to like it, and it was something
You're exactly right. Good for
cool
you.
to do other than having a party. So good job.
I
Jen.
used to, you probably have done this because anybody with this brain has ever been up late at night in the old days when there were a bunch of ESPNs and you find yourself upon the snowmobile races and they're crossing lakes on snowmobiles. Lakes, like what? Not frozen lakes, water lakes on snowmobiles because the track goes fast enough that you can do
Oh.
it. It looks like the Roadrunner on top of the water, But the thing is, you have to keep going, so you have to keep the speed up, or the moment you slow down. This sounds like that.
Yeah.
Good job, teenagers.
funny.
Lastly, this is super neat to me. CBS All Access. Not that super neat, but
It's a streaming service that's all CBS stuff, right? CBS and Paramount, maybe.
yeah. And so, but they're adding to their library. They're going to make new kids programming. They're making that a fulcrum that they're looking at for going forward.
Okay.
But what they're also doing is they're going to bring back 1,000 hours of old titles. So Inspector Gadget was one of my favorites.
Oh, Viacom, Nickelodeon, sure.
And so that's going to be their...
Oh, they can do this now because they just merged them back together. So when I was working at Paramount on Everybody Hates Chris, the Chris Rock Show, bring it all back, everybody. That was the time when Sumner Redstone split the company up because he wasn't sure who was going to run the kingdom after he passed
Right.
away. So it was Les Moonves and Brad Gray. They're both out these days.
See you later.
But they broke it up to Paramount was one thing and CBS was another. And then it was concocted because we all had to change our email addresses. And you remember all of that?
I do it
So they
promoting
broke it
weird
apart
stuff. Oh.
10, 15 years ago, whatever that was, and then just the other day they put it all back together. So now CBS owns all that, Nickelodeon, MTV. They're probably going to put the Real World out and the Road Rules and all that stuff.
I didn't read about that, but I read
Well,
about...
not at this time. Once things get a little better.
There's a show called like Henrietta or something that I don't remember, but there's a bunch of children's programming around Inspector Gadget time that seems really cool. So I'm going to
That's
definitely
awesome.
check
I
that
love
out.
Inspector Gadget.
Me too.
Brain?
Penny.
Penny and Brain.
Yeah.
Hey, so that's Ben. What's going on? Dun, 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 dun. Good job, Mrs. Ryan. All right, top of show. We kept it to about 15 minutes. It's not awful. Not awful. I forgot what we were going to do. Oh, I guess that's call it a day, probably, right?
Yeah.
Just go. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. Someone is here. We should do this. When we come back, Steve Mazan is going to be sitting in that chair right there. Comedian. I'm going to call him a documentarian. I'm going to call him probably a producer as well because of that. Writer and star of Dying to Do Letterman. Going to be sitting in that chair right there. Steve Mazan, more to come right after this.
I didn't know this before I went. I don't know if you visited, no death penalty in Canada. That's how nice they are. They don't even kill people who've killed other people. They're like, all right, just don't do it again, okay? Well, what if I do? We'll talk about it then. All right, don't worry about it. No death penalty. We're still they've decided as a country no death penalty. We're still deciding in the states, state by state. We can't come to one agreement. Like there's states still today that are still using the electric chair in this day and age. I think we can all agree. Whatever side of the capital punishment argument we're on, that's a little barbaric. The electric chair in this day and age. Come on, right? It's 21st century, 2019. I think we can all agree it's time for solar, right? Solar chair. Solar, we have the technology, let's use it. Solar chair. Come on, let's make the Green Mile greener, everyone. No more midnight executions. High noon, sun high in the sky. Most power possible. Let's juice it in there. Hey, Bill, it's not happening. Did I get pardoned? No, it's cloudy. It's cloudy. But the 5-day forecast says Friday. Friday looks good. Friday looks good for it. I like that we're using the wind farms. If you drive around, like we got that's the sun's old technology. I like that the wind farms. That's old tech. That's from like Holland, like 2,000 years ago or something. I don't know. My time's off probably on that. But I like it. People used to live. You ever see those old pictures and how people used to live in windmills? You ever see? Wouldn't that be fun to live in a windmill? You imagine trying to leave your house? I found Grandma. Found her. Or what's not? So you got to be open.
I think I'm just going to introduce you and bring it in if you're good and ready.
I'm ready.
We've never done this. We've
now?
never done this
Why did you
before.
show up now?
Oh, our guest just left. He ran out of time. We've never done this before, but tonight our guest is the host of. Wait, are you the host? No, I'm the host of something. What are you? Hang on, I've lost control of this whole thing. You know our next guest from Dying to Do Letterman, which is available on Amazon streaming services. Please welcome Steve Mazan. We've never done it. That's Boogie
I've never
Nights.
done that in my
That's
life.
Boogie Nights when he's about to go on stage.
Oh, then he gets the thing out. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Wow.
That is the first time. Oops, sorry.
Good for you. What are you packing?
You know what? Being a Letterman fan, and I started comedy in the Bay Area, and there's a comic who's a friend of mine, and I would tune in. He was a friend of David Letterman's starting.
Oh, who?
Bob Sarlott.
Oh, okay.
So Bob Sarlott would be on the show, on Letterman's old show, every year. They would just bring Bob on, and he wasn't famous. He was famous in the Bay Area. He was the voice of the 49ers, and him and Dave started here in Los Angeles together, so they were friends. So
Was
every
this
year,
the days of like George Miller and all those?
yes,
like when they were always
kind of that.
Oh,
but
wow.
even once they moved over to CBS and that, he'd have Bob on every year, and Bob would come on like he was George Clooney or Bruce Willis. It was the greatest thing ever. My friends and I loved it. Like he wouldn't. Again, there was no humility. Like, people probably don't know who I am. I mean, he would come on. He would be like waving to the audience, pointing to the people in the bleed. Like you would. I remember the first thing I was like
like Paul
bigger
Newman.
than bigger than I thought.
How
like,
do I not know who this is?
yeah.
Did Dave like him because he was sort of a broadcastery type person?
I think so. Yeah, he had one of those great
Dave likes
voices.
all that stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I think that tie-in, and they were stand-ups together. Bob's a very good stand-up comic, but again, just not. He wasn't a household name, but you would have thought walking with the way he came into the show, you'd be like, well, I better look this guy up. He's obviously very famous, and everyone knows who he is. But it is just that thing
is
before.
so funny.
Yeah. So look up Bob Sarlott, Letterman, and you just see some of his entrances on the show. It's fantastic.
Well, but meantime,
yeah.
Steve Mazan is here.
Mazan. Yes.
Steve Mazan, I watched your documentary the other day. I'm
Yes.
Dying to Do
Dying to-
Letterman.
yeah.
I watched it Wednesday night in preparation for your Thursday, so it's not quite as fresh in my mind.
Apologize.
I watched it yesterday.
Oh, okay. See, then it makes me feel bad. I was waiting till everyone watched it before
You know
I
what?
came on the show.
You handed it right back to him.
Shit.
That's amazing. But okay, what had struck? Okay, well, I'll give you the whole story.
Yeah.
I'll give you the straight skivvy.
Okay, hit me.
It occurred to me when I turned it on that I had turned it on once before a long time ago.
Oh, all right.
It wasn't as new as I thought it was, and when I said, wait a second, did I watch this? And I sped through it, and I go, no, I didn't watch this. And then I sort of kind of remembered.
Yeah.
Do you mind of me being candor? And being
no,
okay.
of course, yeah.
I remembered the first occurrence.
Yes.
I said, oh, I don't know what this story is. I haven't heard anything about it,
Right,
and
right.
this guy's not that good.
Yep,
Because I'd only
totally
watched the
understand. Yes,
beginning.
yes, of course.
I'd only
Yes,
watched
yes.
the beginning.
Yeah.
Now, the other night, of course,
Yeah.
watched the whole thing. The whole point is that he gets good through the movie.
Yes, yeah,
The whole point
that's
is
right,
that, but
yeah.
it wasn't really set up
No,
that way in the
I
trailer.
totally
so
listen. I would always say when we were promoting, because it's a documentary. It's on Amazon if anyone wants to check
It's
it out.
really good. I highly
If you have
recommend
Amazon
it.
Prime, it's free with that. But Dying to Do Letterman, I 100%. First of all, if you say documentary, we haven't talked about it, but there's a cancer angle to it.
Oh, yeah.
Those two things right away. I'm documentary, cancer. I'm not watching it. All right. So first of all, those
Right,
two things.
depressing.
And second of all, but it is exactly what you're saying. And when you take the angle, all right. The basic story is I was a comic. I was making a living in comedy. I get diagnosed with cancer. They tell me you may only have 5 years to live. And so it was, what do I want to do those 5 years? My biggest dream was to be on the David Letterman show someday.
Yes.
And obviously someday might not happen in those 5 years. So I start
Right.
chasing the dream full force. Now, to your point, I was making a living in it. I didn't know if I was good enough at that point, but at that point, I don't care. I can't wait anymore.
I'm saying
So
that
I
only
start
because
just-
you're here to
Yes,
defend.
yeah.
I would never have said that
No,
to
but
anyone
even
else.
then, there was someone since I'm a comic. I'm cynical. I'm the guy who would be cynical about this thing that I did even.
Here's
you know
all
what
I
I mean?
meant
I've
by
had
it.
another.
There was a typical road comic out there, was
Yeah.
what it was, and it was like, oh, it's not really the material I'm into. It
Yes,
wasn't that
yeah.
you weren't good or whatever.
Right.
But what I saw over this movie was you develop into this refined. Yeah, there was such a process, and it
Oh,
was
well, that's nice
just
to hear. Yeah.
it was wonderful to watch, and I'm almost glad that it took so long for it to happen, so
100%.
that
Yeah.
the transition was so great that we could actually experience it with you, because I feel
Yes,
like I went
yeah.
through that journey
thanks,
with
yeah,
you.
thanks for saying that. Yeah.
And it was really cool because it is emotional, and there is a husband and wife element, and there is a financial element, and
Yes.
there's a you're furthering your
Right,
family
right.
element. I mean, I don't want to give stuff away, but there's all sorts of things where it's very personal and very guttural with
Yes.
feeling. This
Yes.
is a movie with a lot of feels.
So those things that you're talking about. The filmmakers were a husband and wife that followed me once they heard about this dream of me trying to get on Letterman. You know, it wasn't a documentary initially. It was just
That's
We're
how
just
it
going to cover it.
started.
it's just I started a project. It's crazy when you think about this. So this is 2005. And so that's, Facebook maybe is just starting.
Yeah,
And MySpace was the
MySpace
big
maybe,
thing.
yeah.
But I didn't even do that. There was no, Twitter, all this kind of things that you would go that angle now. I just had a website, started to put my videos up there and said, here's my thing. I want to get on the David Letterman show. Here's my videos. If you think I'm good enough, and there was a link. So that was it. It was just a website. And then this couple, they heard about it and were like, they actually came to me. They like this kind of back angle. They knew, gosh, I'm forgetting his name.
You can really
Littlefield.
project. I'm watching. Oh, Warren Littlefield?
Yes, they knew Littlefield, and he was working with NBC, I think, at that point. And they go, "Hey, we could probably get you. Do you want to see if the Leno people are interested?" Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm a Letterman fan. That's my guy. You know what I mean? That was the dream." And so Leno, I love Leno. Of course, had they said, "Do you want to be
fully
on the
understandable? That's a wonderful career thing, but
Yeah.
it's not going to quench this
But
goal.
it's not.
Right.
It wasn't the thing. I mean, Letterman was. You see in the movie what he meant to me growing up, and that kind of is the reason I got into comedy.
Can you tell a little bit of because our viewers
Yeah.
know me and everything?
Yes.
Can you tell a little bit what he did mean to you? Why is
Yeah.
Letterman? Why
So,
Letterman?
So I'm I was grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Grew up with my mom and dad watching Carson. Every
me
night
too.
he would be on, that kind of thing. So I would watch him, and then all of a sudden, I guess I was probably 9 or 10. All of a sudden, this guy was on right after him, and I had seen Letterman on Johnny Carson, and maybe he'd fill in every once in a while. But my mom and dad, I saw their reaction to Johnny Carson. I love Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
And I love the comedians.
He was
on there.
family
They
in the
were
television.
great. Yeah, it was, right? It just,
Yeah.
you sat around, we did it together. And then all of a sudden, there was a point where they would go to bed, and this guy was on after them, after Johnny Carson. And I was like,
Talking
what's this?
talking to you.
Yeah, he was
talking to you.
just different enough, right? And you know what? I remember my mom being like, I don't really care for this guy. And that kind of, it was that thing, it was the right age where I was
That
like,
made you-
that makes me like this guy a little more.
Turn it up.
He's my guy. You know what I mean? So then it became, every night I'd watch Carson and then Letterman. And I'd be watching Letterman by myself. And it was so
So
different.
it was really yours. Like you owned.
Yeah,
time.
it was mine, and then finally, I think at some point it was like, as I got older, teenage-wise, I'd be with my friends, and I'd be like, well, I'm not going to watch Carson tonight, but I'm going to be home by the time David Letterman is on. And he was a Midwest guy. Everyone that was on Johnny Carson
sure, you had
was
that.
was a big star. You know what I mean? They were, he had Paul Newman, Burt Reynolds, those guys.
Hollywood.
Yeah, these guys. Letterman, because of what he had, I know there were all these rules that Letterman couldn't do certain things on a show because Carson was helping produce
When
the
he
show.
got the nighttime
When he-
show because
yes.
it was going to be back to back.
Right, so they couldn't have certain bands. They
Couldn't have a couch,
They
I
couldn't have a
think.
couch. All this kind of weird stuff that made him look in other areas for
He
stuff.
and
but
Merrill,
because
yeah,
of that,
had to find other things.
Yeah, so all of a sudden he has these different comedians on the show now too. It was just a whole different vibe that just
New voice.
yeah, that piqued my interest. It was like, oh, and I love Letterman. He's not a Hollywood guy. He's got a big gap in his. That was the thing.
It became the new cool room to do.
It was the cool room, but that was before. Up to that point, it was almost the first entrance of like a. Hipster's such a derogatory thing now. You know what I mean? That we use that. Oh, that guy's a hipster. But it was.
There was a little bit of retro nostalgia.
Everything that the cool guys on Carson were, again, Rickles coming on. He was, old Hollywood,
the best.
and the Rat Pack guys, Sammy and Frank would come on, that kind of thing. It would be nobody's. I mean, again, literally, Letterman would bring on the guy who the janitor or
Parking
Bud
attendant,
Millman,
whatever,
all
yeah.
that kind of stuff, and make them the star. And Andy Kaufman would never be the kind of guy that they would get for Cars. Carson would be like, this is too off the wall for me, until he was famous. You know what I mean? Whereas Letterman was like, let me take a chance. Let's throw it all against the wall
see what
and
happens.
see what sticks. And,
it's 12:30 and we got to do an hour night.
Yeah, so it really played into that. And again, then he wasn't, even Johnny Carson was so polished and sweet, and I don't know that I'd say he's a good-looking guy, but he seemed like a Hollywood guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Letterman just never.
He certainly hung with the crowd.
He looked like a guy. He looked like my dad's buddy or something. You know
Johnny
what I mean?
hung with the crowd. He would go out. There's pictures of him at Chasen's.
Of course, right.
Letterman went home to his house in the country.
Exactly right. So all that played into it. Made me feel like, he's from Indiana. I'm from Illinois, and he's not a star, and he's doing this thing, and so. Loved it, and then the comedians he started putting on. Once I started seeing Jake Johansson and those guys, the stand-ups.
He was on.
I was like, well, all right, I want to do that. I want to do that for a living. I want to be on the Letterman show. I mean, again, at this point, I'm probably 11 or 12, and not knowing if that's going to be around even 20 years from now.
Right. That's an interesting point.
But that's what I thought. And again, you have no idea at that point. How to even do something like that. I mean, literally, it took me, I didn't start comedy until my late 20s, so had no idea how it would.
We had to inherit the desk and chairs before we figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. It just exudes an
something.
aura then, and then you figure it out, right?
You get an impetus in your life and you take it.
Yeah. But it's very cool.
The interesting thing, and I hate to take this away from you, but what was there are so many parallels in your story and ours.
Yeah.
It was a health thing for her MS. I actually had a health scare as well, where we weren't sure I was going to even make it at all.
Okay. Yeah,
I
didn't know that.
Everything all happened at the same time, and life just sort of went kaboom. The life we had, and the life we had created, and the life we wanted, and it was ours, and we had polished it into whatever that rock or thing we thought it was. It all just went kaboom, and then it was like, well, if it's that easy to just have it all, like, why wouldn't you just go for it?
That's right.
All the way.
It is
at all times.
Right.
Live it while you got it. That's our hashtag.
It's only that can give you that perspective, right? It's that,
and
it's
the confidence
thing.
and the boost of whatever you didn't have before. Some people have it. Some people had the upbringing and they have it. Whatever.
Right.
It's all your programming and your whatever you take in.
Right.
I didn't have it. She didn't have it.
Yeah.
We learned it. I want to talk about, now get it back to you with this process of watching you grow.
Yeah.
We know why you like Dave now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Picking up the story.
That's why I love Dave. And then, when that comes, there is a little bit of, I was good enough. Again, a road comic is a great way to describe me. That was enough. I mean, at some level, I always wanted, in my back of my head, I was like, I'll get on Letterman someday. Again, I always, grab that word someday. We all say that, right? Like someday. There's no someday on that calendar, right?
You got it.
That you're crossing the days out.
Never find it.
It's not going to be there. But all of a sudden, someone tells you, all right, maybe you really only have 5 years. Everything I had done in comedy to that point, it was just like, go out, get good at this, get up 5 times a night if you can, learn how to do this.
Yep.
And then I was starting to get good enough up in the Bay Area. That's where I started in San Francisco. That people hear about you. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how that was the way I was kind of growing up. Even in the Midwest, I like to think there's like the one thing, I'm not too much on the cliche stereotypes about different regions, but I think Midwest people in general, there is kind of a little bit of a work ethic kind of thing.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Just work hard and everything.
It'll work out.
Work hard.
Keep your nose to the ground. Absolutely.
Now life has told us, all of us here, that even that doesn't work out. Like, you can be nose to the grindstone, and we're not planning on all the medical stuff that may pop up at any point, right? That's not in your picture.
Or karma. That was never a factor for me
exactly.
either.
So that's all I did with my career was like, I'll work hard enough, and someday the Letterman people will hear about it, because that's how my career was going.
Yes.
2 years in, I was able to quit my job because enough clubs and bookers had heard about how good I was.
So already it was working. It was already working.
So that was proving to me that's work.
That was
just
enough,
work at
and
it.
that's fine. It keeps you going.
Yeah, work at it. Eventually, whatever it might take, the Letterman people will hear. That's probably how this works, right?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, this gets thrown in there, the cancer stuff, and the maybe only 5 years to live. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, okay, well, this I don't know if just working, this isn't going to be enough anymore to do that. So I had to kind of turn
Someday
around.
it's on the calendar now.
It's on the calendar, and it's giving yourself the goal and not waiting for it, chasing it. Like that was the whole idea. Just a little bit of the.
What are you waiting for? Nobody's going to give you permission.
Yes, exactly, and that's it. And
you're waiting for the tap on the shoulder. I was.
Of course, that's it.
You'd be good at. You know what? You should be.
Exactly. That's
we've got one. We're looking for a host.
I've been
Wait
waiting.
a second.
Yes.
This is my opportunity.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
That's exactly it. But we really think like that, right?
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And so it is liberating. I always I have a joke I do now about like the silly things people say to you when you get a disease or something like this happens.
Oh,
right?
I can't
I
wait.
can't. Yeah, this is right.
Yeah.
You
So,
guys.
listen, of course, right? So one of my wife's friends saying oh, you should look at cancer as a gift. Oh yeah, great, fantastic gift. Yeah, that's the person you want drawing your name at the Secret Santa.
The
right?
truth is that is the destination, but like, man, you are not the person to give these directions.
No, especially at the beginning, right? Like, of course.
There's such a process to
I
get
can
through.
look back now. We're almost 15 years later from that diagnosis, but at that time, like, it was just a gift. What the hell? What the? That's the worst thing. Or they live every day. Oh, you should move forward. Live every day like it's your last. No, you can't do it. Like, right?
What do you have to that one?
Yeah. Do you
have a tit for tat?
There's a lot. I get a lot of advice.
Yeah.
You should do this.
You
And it's
should
like,
do this, right?
Here's
Or
the
have
thing.
you looked into this? I hear
Oh,
that from
my
all of
God,
you.
100%.
At the
yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
you're so looking for anything to hold on to that
Yes.
makes sense. You're like, okay, and so you take in all this information, and then it takes a minute, and you realize they haven't actually gone through it.
Right. And again, you're an amateur. No one should be good at this,
Yeah.
right? But we assume because someone's talking, sometimes even from a place of authority, you think, well, they must know what they're
must know what they're talking about,
To
yeah.
the same way like the tap on the shoulder kind of thing. You're thinking, oh, well, must be how it's done. Now everyone will fill me on to do it. And
Their
then
mouth's moving. Credible source.
exactly. But very quickly you realize, I know I'm going to have to find my own way.
Oh,
through
I'm
this
done
and
talking
how-
to you. I see.
Yes,
I was way off.
I'm sorry, I was being polite and gave you your time. Yes, and yeah.
Wow.
So at some point you just you gotta find your own way. But I can appreciate that idea of
Totally.
the gift being the perspective it gives you to say, in the same way you'd stop listening to people, I don't give a crap anymore. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
okay, I'm not gonna play this game of waiting and doing it this certain way, and this is how it's been done before. It was, turning on its head. It's like, all right, I'm gonna just pull
Rules
out all the
stop
stops.
applying. Like
Yeah.
they just everyone has rules, and it's
Oh, that's
great.
interesting.
Yes.
That's
but
interesting.
the rules stop applying
Yeah.
because the priorities change.
Right.
And you said that
the model has shifted. What used to work in that model for society and you
100%.
and everybody else, whatever, it no longer works with
Yes.
whatever you do. You can't have the same schedule or whatever. When you wake up at 5 and you fall asleep at 4, like those are your hours.
Right. Exactly.
You can't do the graveyard shift
Sometimes
anymore.
I just have to go to sleep. Like it's a nap. I got like an infection last week and I couldn't walk, and like that it's still lingering.
Right.
But it's like I have to learn how to deal with that. Like
Right.
reading someone telling me how to do something doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And
Right.
I
Yeah.
feel I got a lot of that from your movie that
Yeah.
you made. Like,
Oh, good.
There's
Good
a
luck.
lot of that. Just relax and step back and pay attention to yourself, and
Right.
whatever you actually think is important is what's important, because
That's it.
nothing else
And you
matters.
started focusing. You did that Midwestern thing where you put your nose down in the ground
Yeah.
and you just
Yes,
started
I'm gonna
working,
start
working,
right.
working,
I'm gonna-
working,
I'm gonna-
working,
yes.
cranking away.
The goal is now get good enough to be on Letterman. Yes. Not let's see how long this takes, but yes, a determined reason for all of it, and
So what? How did that happen? I mean, what happened? We talked about a few minutes ago. Oh, they're taking a look at you. That's huge.
That's
news.
a big
In
deal.
my
Yeah,
mind, you
so-
can probably see from this show today that I'm like elated now. 'Cause
Yes.
that's like incredible news.
Of course it is.
When you got that news, it was
Because-
very similar. Eddie Brill. Somehow somebody got your name to Eddie Brill.
Yes, an old a booker of a club. So by this time I was living in Los Angeles.
That's right.
But a club owner from San Francisco knew Eddie Brill and was nice enough to drop in an email saying, "Hey, you should take a look at this guy." And
Friend of mine, he's worth it.
Right, and then Eddie reached out to me and said, "Heard about this? Send me a set." And so it opened that door. And again, it was that. It really is like the sun shining in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Slowly, it comes up on you, and you're like, like this is it. I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But I do know that this is what I was hoping would happen, right? Again, and that's where you're talking about the news you got today. All right, you're in touch with the right person.
Yeah.
You're because again, you don't. That's such a huge.
You have a
accomplishment.
chance now. You have a chance. If you can get good enough, you might achieve your goal.
Yeah.
So now it's on you again. It's
Right.
not about the world and if only I could get to so and so. It's now on you to do the work
Right.
to see what you're made of.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
As a person, that's very exciting to me.
Yes, and listen, even if at that point, I'm glad it wasn't a no, of course, and it wasn't a yes at that point. That's a year into. I gave myself a year, and it took a year just to get in contact.
Right.
They were a very East Coast centric show.
Not for nothing.
Letterman. Yeah.
I reached out August of last year, and just in general.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
here we are,
Here
one
we
year
are, a
later,
year away.
and now we're
So
getting
that's what I
hey,
mean.
we'll take a look.
And that's a little part of it too. I always get worried I say the word wrong. Naivete of not knowing. I gave myself at that point because I was like, I might only be here 5 years. I'm gonna get on the show in a
20%.
year.
I'll give you 20%,
Yes.
Dave.
Yes, I'm gonna make it in 1 year so I can have 4 years of enjoying watching it over. And
Cut off that.
yes.
You get this. I'll keep
Yeah,
this.
and I'll take that. But again, looking back now, I mean, to even get in touch with them and knowing the process and that kind of thing and how far out they book and all that kind of stuff, it was ridiculous to think anything could happen. And again, now it's so impressed to even have gotten in touch with the person who books
huge.
it and an introduction from someone who else who had a little bit of clout and power to say, hey, take a look at this guy.
People don't really realize because you can access the Stephen Colbert Late Show via Instagram now if you want to talk to somebody from the show.
Yeah.
It just wasn't like that.
No.
And it really wasn't like that for anything Dave related.
No,
Reclusive.
I mean, that's the number one word when people always ask about Dave, because obviously the end of the story is.
Whoa! Don't give it away.
I
didn't finish it. Hang on.
Oh no!
Let's have the second half tonight.
But they're like, "What's Dave like?" I mean, that's the number one word for
Did
it.
you
I
get
mean,
to meet
besides
Dave?
genius and hilarious and all those.
All right,
things,
we gave it
from
away.
aside,
You end up achieving your goal.
It ends up taking almost the entire 5 years of the worst case scenario diagnosis I had. But
Right.
that's how long it took. So a year to get in touch with them. Immediately, I send him a set that I was like, well, I knew
This
you
is the
do
one.
5 minutes. You do 5 minutes on the show, and he said, okay, send me your 5-minute set. And I was a little cocky at this point. Well, again, it's the attitude.
That's what we do.
It's the attitude of at this point. I don't care anymore, right? I have nothing to lose at this point. So I'm like, he'll watch 10. I'm gonna send him 10 minutes, right? Because I was like, why take two tapes to send him? I'm just gonna send him a 10-minute set. So that he's got to watch 10 minutes at this point, right? So I sent him 10 minutes. He liked one joke out of the 10 minutes. But it was again, I'm sure in the talks you guys are having, those little inklings of like, I'm on the right track though. Like that, it wasn't like
There's a movie like, so you're not saying it's a no
exactly,
or something like whatever.
Right, exactly.
So you're saying there's a chance.
He didn't like 9 jokes, but he liked 1 joke. So I'm like, I've got my foot in the door, right? It might be a shoelace at this point.
I have direction.
I am close, exactly. So it was, but I remember him saying like, here's why these wouldn't work. They're not bad jokes. It's just we have to make this. The show has a very particular thing. It's the thing we were talking about. Why Letterman was different than Carson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a different viewpoint of thing. Eddie Brill, to his credit, there was a fantastic comedian, Robert Schimmel,
he was
who's
great.
passed
Love that
away.
guy, yeah.
Passed away our first trip to Hawaii. Do you remember that? On my
really?
birthday, yeah.
Oh yeah, one of the greats. And
Thanks a lot, Robert Schimmel.
He's in the movie. There's a little part
That's
in the movie.
right.
He's got
he must have been towards.
Yeah, it was towards the end of his battle. Although
he's very skinny.
Yeah, you can see in it that he's battling.
He's giving you good advice though.
Fantastic advice. But Eddie Brill says to me, and it's not in the movie. You don't see it, but he says to me, Robert Schimmel is my favorite comedian, and he's never been on the Letterman show because he's just not the right.
Not the right fit.
It's not the right fit for our show.
Yeah, he's also very open about it. He wouldn't have played the game.
Right. No, exactly. Now that being said,
didn't you have to change one of your?
Yes. I did change the night before.
Robert Schimmel was not into that.
And that being said, 2 things. And I will say, Eddie Brill, you see in the movie, I have a long relationship that takes out the entire 5 years of going back and forth with him.
Wow.
Had Robert Schimmel been on the David Letterman show, A, he would have been fantastic. B, Dave would have loved him.
Of course.
I mean, but these are the hoops we have to jump through. You know what I mean? Again,
That was a big money show at that
Yes.
point, and there was a lot of hands and a lot of chefs
of
in
course,
the kitchen.
Of course. So there's that kind of thing. There's
The Bill Hicks thing comes to mind.
Oh,
for
that's
myself,
that's one of the fantastic ones.
Yeah.
Is them pulling Bill Hicks.
From
thing.
this, I think it was during this generation. We just talked
Was
about
from
this the other.
this was the death
just the
that
other
he
day.
never. Yeah, well, he did get to.
He
We
did.
just never saw it.
Right.
Yeah.
But they brought the mom back years later.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
I
didn't
don't.
mean to
Can we go on a
sidewind
tangent there?
That was my. Sorry about that.
No, but this is a little. How deep?
Oh,
do
no, Bill
the-
Hicks hand. How about you?
How deep do
Go
the
deep.
fans of your show get into? Are they as deep as us on the Letterman thing?
There are a handful because we're. Here's the thing. You don't know my story.
Well, I know some of it,
You
but
do?
not how deep. Yeah, go please.
No.
Ted, fill me
I
in.
can't tell you now. And,
Oh,
and-
okay.
and they've all heard it.
They've
but
all heard.
There's literally 1 year ago on the 25th anniversary of all this
Of
stuff,
this.
August 30th last year, whatever. I told the story of how deep and why the depth my Letterman history goes, and it's deep, and it's way deeper than what you told me.
Okay, right.
Because of, like I mentioned earlier, the proximity.
Yes, yeah,
So
being
I wasn't
so close to him. Yeah.
Right, the woman who broke into his house was not my mother or anything like
Right.
that. But I was there and had access. So,
Okay.
So,
So-
there's an episode that she'll send you.
Yes, please. Now I want
by
to
all
see it
means,
because again, I
make show
love
25.
that. I love that rabbit hole of
You're
it.
gonna want to come back just to talk about
Yeah.
my story.
So, okay,
And in fact, that'd be great.
Yes,
you can come back
I
and
would
we'll turn
love
the
that.
tables, and then
Because-
you could interview me.
I would love to do that. That's
That'd be
fantastic because to that point of the thing that we're making about what it takes to get on that show and the right material and all that kind of thing. The Bill Hicks thing, for the people who don't know, Bill Hicks does a set and it's very edgy.
Yes.
And they pull it, and then
Edgy
later
for the time.
Yes. And then later, Letterman, after he passes away, has the mom on, and they show the set in an ode to him.
A long time later. like
Yeah, a long
decade
time later. Now, he says, this is one of the things I thought was unfair. And again, listen, Dave is a human being. He's got corporate over his head, all these sponsors. He says to the mom, and I think it was maybe the right thing to say to the mom at that point, wow, I watched it. That's fantastic. I made a mistake.
Yes. It seemed benign now
It
or
seems
something
benign
like
now.
that.
I kind of disagree with Dave. Seeing that, whatever it was, 10, 15 years later, it was still edgy. I mean, he's talking about, let's hunt down and kill Billy Ray Cyrus. Like, if you did that on late night TV, talked about killing a celebrity today, imagine the up in arms about
It's
it.
funny, that part didn't even jump out at me.
No, but you know, that's just one. That's just one of many. That's the one that always sticks in my head.
I don't even
But I
remember
remember
that
the whole.
We know it. We've stayed
Yeah.
at his house. I mean, to
I
me,
used
that
to
was
work
just a
with him.
joke.
Yes.
That's a riot.
So but you know what I mean. I think it almost would have been more impressive had he said, "Hey, here we are, 15 years later. That's how ahead of his time Bill Hicks was.
Oh, that's a nice
That
angle.
That's a good
this
angle.
is still a little edgy for what we do here
That
for
would
a family. You know what I mean?
The reason I think a Dave wouldn't do that
Yes.
is because it sounds like a justification for his own,
100%. Yeah.
and he's all about taking responsibility.
Yes, he's
for his
which
own.
I love about him. Is one of the
That's,
great things
I think
about
what
him.
made him
Yeah.
different than the other guys.
But as a point to the decision they made that night, I kind of understood it. Why some of that?
it's cool to go
would have
deep
been.
with somebody
Yeah,
else who
so
can
I love
talk
that.
about
Yes,
it though.
Yeah. So
Who was
I
here the other
apologize
day,
if
and I
we've
was
taken
no, it's great.
Yeah.
There was somebody here the other day though, and I did the same thing. It was having like just a total. Who was the comedian who was here last week?
It wasn't me. I was
I
not
don't-
here last week.
It was the day before
Just to
you. It was
remind
somebody. Whoever it was.
I
it
don't
was-
remember.
Me neither. It was. I feel terrible now. It doesn't matter. Cut that part.
So I guess the reason I went off that tangent though was because then it took. Hey, here's the 10 minutes. I'm positive there's 10 minutes of what I think.
Yes.
From what I've seen on Letterman should
Right.
be on here. But they found one. But I do remember he goes, this joke, it's a fraction joke, 5/3. It's about if there's an insurance company says they
Oh, I
can
love
insure
that
you
joke. Yeah.
for a fraction what you pay. Unfortunately, that
It was
fraction
a great joke.
5/3. And he said, I remember him saying, Dave would love this joke. And again, then it didn't matter that he didn't like the other 9 minutes. It was like, all right, I'm on the right track.
You
now
can
I just
do
gotta
his
find,
voice, yeah.
I have to find a way to replicate this. And so I did chase that a little. And I think you see in the movie that might have been a little bit of a goose chase trying to replicate it. But
Yeah.
the work didn't matter. I was still putting the work in.
Still cranking
And in
away.
the end, it comes back a way I would have never expected. He said, we don't want this or this or this. And then a lot of the
You
things
ended up
he said he
doing-
didn't want, they wanted. And I always put it to, I don't know if you have a type. Obviously, I know who you're married to now. But if you said to me, "What's your type?" I might be like, I usually like tall blonde women. Well, that's not my wife at all. It's just when you see it, you know it.
I don't mean
Yeah.
to be rude.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to bring it back to the same way I insulted you earlier.
Please.
That was the case. I was just, this guy isn't my kind of comedian. And then throughout the movie, you became my kind of comedian.
Right. That's it. Yeah. You think this isn't what I like, and then when you see something, you think I usually like this. Oh, well, I didn't consider this, but I like this. Yeah,
Yes.
it's that kind of thing. So yeah, no, that's
Whoever was here last week, they were Johnny Carson's kind of comedian, and there was a whole story about how they
I
got
know,
him.
and I'm totally spacing on the name right now.
This will be a nice look behind the scenes for everybody else. Here's every blue card.
Whoa!
I've kept them all for every show we've ever done, so it only should be a couple days here. Let's see where we have to go. Steve Middleman.
Was it Steve Middleman?
Steve Middleman.
Steve Middleman. All
There
right,
you go.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that
Yeah,
guy.
he's
Aren't you?
fantastic.
Wasn't that totally worth it, everybody?
You found a quit though. That's a good filing system here.
He is, yeah, you're right. He's very acerbic in his thoughts, and I feel like
Yes.
that's what.
Just we had the deep dive of we can have this nerd conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally just speed bumped the whole thing.
Not at
Sucked the
all.
air
No.
out of it.
In fact, it's funny.
What were you saying?
He's exactly that. He's that type of letter. He's a Carson comedian.
Yeah.
Which is that's
It
one
was
of the
such a
greatest
great
things
story,
ever.
though, of him having the same. His was dealing with, of course, I always want to say Mulcahy, but Jim McCauley. His was
Yep.
the same thing of going
Right.
back and forth.
Yeah.
And, you're just not Johnny's type of comedian.
Right.
And then at the end, he did his spot. He ended up shaking Johnny's hand in the hallway afterwards. He's like, you're my kind of comedian. Literally
Yeah, right?
verbatim.
Exactly. Like that's what I mean. Like
Greatest story, just
you don't
like that.
know it till you see it. Everyone thinks they know what they're looking for or that kind of thing.
Till you
And then
show
just-
them that
you
I'm it.
Yes, exactly. No, I am this thing. So that's
but when
what it
you
was.
know it, and that's why, like, you creative types, like, when you trust yourself, like, that's what it all comes down to. So.
That's one of the things I'm so proud of the documentary. And again, I don't even think like I'm not bragging about the husband and wife that made it. They were fresh out of UCLA.
What are their
film
names?
school. Joke and Biagio. She's a Belgian woman, now American citizen, but her name's Joke.
Be careful.
How cool is that?
They might chuck her.
That's true. Ice is out for her. I went over there. But her name's Joke, so how great that to get to work with her as a comedian. She's making the movie. It's
kind of amazing.
Yeah, and Biagio is
And of
her
course, you know
husband.
my friend Joke.
Joke here, like what? Yeah.
Steve, you're not that funny.
Exactly. She's stone faced, not but they
get it.
made this thing like again. You know how you sometimes read a book, and then they go to make it to a movie, but you're like, oh, they didn't do a good job because the storyteller is so important, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the same story in the book as in the movie, but the way it's told
It's
in
the
the movie
voice.
isn't as good.
100%, yeah.
So same thing. I know my story, but the way they tell it in the movie is I could never have. They touch the right tones. Like, what's important about this? What's the journey you go on with your girlfriend, then wife? That kind of thing. That angle. All
They
those.
pull the right
things.
heartstrings at the right time.
Exactly. That it's told very well.
So you're saying it's better than the book?
Way better than the book. Way better. way better than the book. But if you see in the movie, there's a lot of interviews like like I said, Robert Schimmel, Jim Gaffigan's in there.
Ray
Romano, Brian Regan, and so one of the things Gaffigan, I remember saying to your point that you just brought up, is he at one point was like, "Oh my God, yeah, it took me forever to get on Letterman." He's like, "I was ready." And it took 4 more years of sending them sets. And I said, to the point we're kind of talking about here, that ended up being my journey, because I agree with you. I got way better during that time.
Well, you found yourself. It wasn't. It had nothing to do with the comedy. Steve Mazan
yes.
found himself
Yeah.
throughout the making of yourself being ready to do
Right.
Letterman.
Yes. But like Gaffigan,
You killed off the old guy one way or the other. I don't know if you
Right,
realize it. Like
there
that was
is-
very.
I probably
clear.
don't realize
it. Was very
it, but
clear
yeah.
in the movie that the guy with the confidence and the whole thing who hadn't really started his life. You put it into high gear.
Yeah,
and
I
then you
probably
started
don't.
living.
Yeah, it's probably one of those I'm too close to see it. But
Yeah.
that's I'm sure
you
there's
became a
an angle
different dude.
there. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyways, Gaffigan says at
It's
one
like now
point,
that I'm awesome.
one of the points he made it is the opposite point. He goes, "Oh yeah, no, they finally put me on." He goes, "But I was good enough." That first, then he goes, the jokes I was doing then could have been on the show and that kind of thing. So, there is a bit of, you have to have an ego and confidence, obviously, to be in this business
Yeah.
to,
You have
a
to know
little,
you're ready.
you have to, there's a little lying to yourself, that you have to do. Like, yes, this is good enough.
Well, that's
So,
what gets you
yeah.
to eventually be ready.
Of
You know what?
course.
Back to Letterman, the 9/11 thing was like, if you can't be brave, the second best thing is like pretending to be brave or something
Yes,
like that.
yeah.
I butchered it. Courageous,
right,
something like that.
yes.
But it was, you pretend, and then eventually one day you're just brave. It's the same kind of
Right,
thing.
yeah, it is. Yeah, you learn how to do it by the faking it till you make it kind
The
of thing.
process is the
Yeah.
inspiration. Let's do another one. All right,
I've
so
run
you,
dry.
so you finally do Letterman, and then you're there. There's not a whole lot of footage of that part in the film.
No, because we couldn't get
Worldwide Pants.
Worldwide Pants the permission. Although, what was strange, to give you a little
You could put it out now, no problem.
dippity-doo behind the scenes to it all, around the same time, because we were always like, first of all, the filmmakers, they were like, there's only two ends to this movie. Like, either you're going to die
Yeah,
or you're going to get on Letterman. And again, we didn't consider at that point the third one was Letterman might have retired, because he did retire 4 years after that.
It wasn't in the running.
Right, but at that point, we had never considered it. It just seemed Dave
Yeah.
was an institution. He's
When
never
you were a
going away.
kid, you said, "Oh, someday," and that wasn't factored in.
You
So
never
someday was
thought,
going to
yes.
come before day was not.
Yeah,
on there.
of
Yes.
course it was going to happen. But never thought of that. And what were we talking about? I got lost on that he was going to retire.
I don't know. You were gonna die, and
Yeah,
Running out of time.
yeah. I guess so. Oh, Letterman finally getting there, right? So yeah, when
And the footage, and they wouldn't.
yes, the Joaquin Phoenix thing happened. While we were doing it, was around the same time.
Oh.
And so, and again, at that
Where
point, we didn't
he's
know.
The gum and the whole
Yes.
thing and the sunglasses.
We
He was
didn't know-
part of his own movie.
Yes,
Right,
now
got it.
Letterman has admitted he was in on it.
oh,
Yeah, he's come clean.
It was like
and
the
said-
Andy Kaufman thing. He
Yeah,
knew
it
about
was
that
right.
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a lot of conjecture. The people who were deep in thought Dave knows. He's too smart a guy to not know this. But that at that time. But then they
And whether it's
used-
Dave himself or
Right.
whatever, the show knew.
The show, exactly right. That's a good point because Dave is even removed. He's reclusive,
Often
in his own
intentionally
show.
removed from the show. Johnny was the
yes.
same way, so that you would get the real experience on
Yes,
the set. Eventually,
100%.
stop rehearsing even.
Right, exactly. So that's actually the point I was trying to make is that once
You're
you get
welcome. High
there,
five. We're a
there's
good team.
We did it. We knew we could use some of the footage because Joaquin used that footage in his documentary under the documentary Fair Use.
Fair use law.
So
Fair use act.
right. So we did it once we had it in the movie. You see my set I do on Letterman at the end, and it's interspersed with me practicing the set because we were only allowed under fair use to use 1 minute,
Yeah.
and obviously my set is 6 minutes, I think.
And you have to have some
So-
of the material in
Right.
there.
So we intersperse actual footage of me doing it with footage of me practicing it out at the
okay.
clubs beforehand. And I think it's one of those things we're pushed into that, but I think it's better than if we had just shown
Right.
my set. It
Right.
looks. It's to your point. Me practicing it, geting good at it is
There's more
more
levels.
impressive.
There's more levels to
it
it.
shows
Sure.
the spectrum of it. It's
Yeah,
very cool.
yeah.
There's not a whole lot even the behind the scenes though of like that. Oh, in the building. Or,
Right.
What was it like for
We
you
had to
being in the Ed
sneak in,
Sullivan
yeah,
Theater?
'cause
Sorry.
We had to sneak in the cameras.
Oh, I see.
because so Eddie Brill. No, I didn't have to sneak it. They didn't know I was going to be on the show that day. That's the part you didn't hear.
He'll laugh at some point. He's going to be laughing really hard tonight when he's watching Late Show 25.
It was like a king of comedy kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I held someone hostage and got in there and snuck into the building. But
That's
they-
Swimming with Sharks too. That's right.
Yes.
I didn't see that movie until like 2 years ago, 3 years
It's
ago.
funny,
Craig Robinson kept bringing it up, and finally I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll watch
I'll
it
give it a
because he
watch.
kept calling me
Yes.
Rupert Pupkin for obvious reasons. and I finally watched
Yes.
it, and I was like, first of all, my mind was blown.
Yeah.
But hello, me,
Yeah.
you, and everybody else, right?
Yeah, of course.
Tom Green, probably
right.
everybody.
Yeah, that's the whole thing is like that. Yeah, Rupert Pupkin's across the board. I mean, crazy what that has foresaw in that the celebrity idea
It's
that we
not
have today
Martin
with social
Scorsese's
media.
most famous movie. Like nobody even knows that movie
No,
exists
right,
unless
right.
you're in comedy.
Yes, unless you're in it again.
Meanwhile, Robert De Niro, Jerry Lewis,
Yeah.
the girl is
Playing Johnny Carson, Sandra Bernhard.
Sandra Bernhard.
Yeah. It's amazing. And again, like I said before, it foresaw all this social media and the celebrity coming from crazy things, you know, that we have a Kardashian, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
20 years predicted earlier.
I blame people like her for that because they made all that happen.
He
Maybe.
needs publicists, not just me as a person.
No, not at all. Just
good,
people like
good
you.
point.
Just so everyone knows, my old job was celebrity publicity.
And opening movies and stuff like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so that day, Eddie had said he knew at that point that there was a couple that had followed me on this journey. You know, we were just piling up footage, and he said no cameras there that day. So they were originally going to sit in the audience and be like, "Oh, we'll get you before at the hotel practicing and that kind of stuff."
Yeah, front seat of the balcony
And
is the
then-
only shot you can
Right.
maybe make that happen.
And then I had some other people that came down from upstate New York to see me, and so I was like, why don't you guys just come in the green room with me in my dressing room? And so they did that. So you see some dressing room
The tiny
footage
room
and that kind of
upstairs.
thing. Yeah.
Packet full of people.
Packet, right, exactly.
These-
So that
for
was
anybody
it.
who doesn't know, again, this is backstage. These are literally when you see pictures of the Beatles dressing rooms. These
Yeah.
are literally the dressing rooms from the Beatles. There's a room probably smaller
Yeah,
than
it's
the
pretty
room
tiny.
we're in
Yeah.
right now.
And the other guests that day were
One
Neil
window.
Patrick Harris. Neil Patrick Harris was the first guest that day.
Doogie.
Yes. So and he was so funny. I really thought I was going to be bummed because he was
Wait, so what year did
doing
you actually
so
do
well.
the show?
09.
Oh, so he's
Yeah.
on Married Your Mother or whatever.
Yes, yeah,
okay, gotcha.
right. But they had kind of, he was still, I remember at that day, not thinking of him as Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, maybe
I
Harold
still
and
thinking
Kumar
of
and
him
stuff.
as
Doogie?
Doogie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it was starting to take off and get big around that time. It had been on maybe a year or two, but it
Gotcha.
hadn't found its footing where it became
He
the
hadn't
kinda,
become the NPH
Yes. Like, oh my God, how
entity.
great is this? Where everyone's like, this guy's so talented.
Right.
And then the band
It was
was...
back when...
what were you going to say?
No, that ain't kidding. I love Doogie Howser. I
Me
really
too,
did.
yeah.
I was going to say back when only Wanda knew.
Right.
I realized it's only
His
for
power,
you.
exactly.
It was only for you.
Yes,
Nobody would
yeah.
get that.
And then the band was, I want to get their name right.
Oh, it was a comedian and a band.
Yes. And
That's
so that was the
interesting.
only thing that saved me
They
because
lived in the performance area.
I
that
might
show.
have got bumped because Doogie was going where they extended him one segment, and I guess somehow they must have took out a bit
Yeah.
that they were probably going to do.
Sure.
Because I was like, oh, he's doing well. But the Magnetic Zeros, have you heard of? That was the band. It's Edward something in the Magnetic Zeros. Like, I'm not joking, 19 people in the band.
Can you hang on just one
Yeah.
second? We had a weird moment here, and I don't know if I dropped a camera or what. It wasn't intentional. Something weird happened. Never happened before.
Was it my entrance that ruined it? Did it?
No. When I moved it over here, I was talking and I didn't plug it in. So that's probably a very obvious thing. I hope it doesn't ruin our entire thing. Sorry about that.
No, that's
I mean,
all
I'll
right.
figure it out somehow, but
Yeah.
that would be a disaster. At the very least,
Take
we'll
two from the top?
No, we're still going. We're still going the whole time. We'll just keep it from here. It's your
Steve
camera.
Mazan.
So sorry. I'm hoping it comes back here in a second, and then we'll be okay.
Oh, it's my camera? Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
things happen. Things happen. Sorry about that, Steve. I mean, we're still going the whole time. I
Yes,
just didn't.
right.
I wanted to stop your story, but anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, the band was Edward something in the Magnetic Zeros. You'd know
Oh,
the song
wow.
if you heard it. And
Okay.
19 people. I'm not joking in the
So
band.
many.
So that tiny dressing room next to me is just packed with people. They're even spilling into my dressing room.
Oh, my goodness.
Like I'm meeting them all beforehand. Oh, what do you do? Oh, you're the comedian.
Yeah.
Like it was so strange. And then the filmmakers are there. They're like trying to get footage of this band spilling out. And then, of course, to your point, everyone always asks, okay, so you meet Dave before the show? No.
No, not before
you'd
for
never.
sure.
And I had met just in San Francisco many times. Robin Williams had shared the stage with him because
Oh.
he was a fixture on the scene up there. So he had heard you're going to be on it. So we were talking about it. I said, well, you're on all the time. And what can I expect? And he goes, you're not going to meet Dave. He goes, even if we do, he goes, I never see Dave. I've known him. We were friends before
Back in the day, yeah.
celebrity for both of us. He goes, a reclusive guy. He goes, even if we do a sketch that we pre-tape, he shows up, doesn't say a word to me. Then we do the little sketch. He's nice enough. He goes back. He goes, but there's no hello, Robin. How you doing? So you're on that stage. And he goes, so yeah, you will not.
That was a Johnny
see him.
thing,
There's-
too.
Yeah, right.
They save it all.
Right. Let's save it for the thing. So I never thought about it, and literally I say the last line of my joke, and the band kicks in, and then it kind of hit me like, here's the moment. Like now, David Letterman's going to be walking up. He must be right now walking up behind me. Is there, and then you kind of feel like him touch you, hey,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, this is, again, 30 years in the making of like, wow, here he is. I get to meet
That
this
had
guy.
to feel so.
Unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable.
just looking over at any point, I mean, I didn't.
When I first came out,
Well, that's right. When you
when
first
I
come
did
out,
the
you're
entrance,
looking straight at
when I
him.
did the entrance here today and imitated Bob Sarlot, I did a little bit feel that
There we
day
go.
when I was on the show, a little bit like, again, I had nothing to lose because of the perspective, the cancer
You're done.
it gives you. Yeah, you're right. What do I have to lose here? So when I come
Kind of
out,
meant like a superpower, right?
a little bit, yeah. So when
Yeah.
I came out that day, I look over at Dave and I gave him a little, almost like a Bruce Lee bow, like a hello, sir. You know, like you
head
are,
nod.
yeah, you are my hero, and now I'm gonna go over here and tell some jokes. But in case it goes bad, I'm gonna meet eyes with you and give you a bow. But yeah, and then again, that's more than the set. I remember Paul laughing at hearing
Oh
Paul
yeah,
laugh.
you're very close to Paul.
Yeah,
when you're
so
out there on
that
the
that was fantastic. Ha ha. It's just kind of nasally thing.
But it feels good
Yeah.
because you're on the spot,
100%.
standing.
It was great,
Yeah.
and to your point, there's Elvis Presley and the Beatles have performed on that stage.
What was it like being in the room? When you walk out for the first
Yeah,
time, take Dave,
electric.
take the camera, take all of your material in your head around.
Yeah,
The room is nuts back then.
It's crazy.
completely different now, but it was really, really, the energy was completely nuts
Yeah.
back then.
it was so.
You walk
I
out on
actually
that stage.
thought one of my favorite things about stand-up comedy is I never knew the things your brain could do, like that I could be telling a joke, thinking about how the last joke went or didn't go.
Oh, you mean bandwidth.
Yes, and also about don't forget when you get to the next joke, do this, and what you're seeing through your eyes. So there's the autopilot and the being present and the thinking about what's happening and the adjustments.
Your
It's
past,
amazing
present, future.
what can happen in your brain. I had never noticed that until I started stand-up comedy. So in that moment when I step out, all that stuff starts going. There's the band and he's laughing. And
You can't take it all in,
Dave
right?
kind of looked over when you came out. That's nice. And here's the thing, and all the people, and then I'm like, reel it in. Hey, you're on TV here. Don't
Yeah.
forget to sell your joke here. Like, dude, you got to act out a couple things here and make sure you do this. And they said, take your time. Don't
rush
Go
it.
extra slow with a TV audience. And so, those things are in my mind. I'm like, okay, get back, stop thinking about this stuff. But there was one point that you're looking up, and it did hit me. It's like, this is the Beatles, the Presley, the all this stuff, and this audience is there.
Rupert.
And I had one moment where I really thought, because they say, okay, when you say this last line, the band's going to kick in.
Oh, I
That's
hate
when it
that.
kicks in.
I know.
Right. They go right into it. So part of me, I had a thought of, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. You've
Don't
done
rewrite
this.
your
I have
joke on
nothing
the
to
fly?
lose, right? Again, I'm dying here. I don't know what might happen. What if you just kept talking? What if I didn't say that? What if I started doing that 9
more
minutes?
minutes. Two
What
more
if I did
minutes.
that 9 minutes I said Eddie Brill 4 years earlier?
Jerry's
What
going
would
nuts
they
in the
do?
control room. What's happening?
What would they do? You know what I mean? Someone comes out, yeah, I'll probably be Bill Hicks and they won't show it or whatever. But I had the thought for a second, and then I was like, don't be an idiot. Just go right. Just do what you were asked to do, and then you'll get to meet Dave. And yeah, but yeah, it was amazing, like feeling that experience and seeing
being
that
in that
audience,
room.
and it's whatever.
The set and everything, all
400
the stuff.
people, like just being awesome. And it didn't feel. I had done a couple other TV shows at that point where it felt like the cameras are right there and you're playing.
They were
to
not
them.
at that show.
No,
yeah.
but
That was the theater.
You're really playing to a gorgeous theater crowd, and it's
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
weird almost. For a TV guy, I never
Yeah.
liked that. I never ever liked that theater.
No,
Believe it or not. Can
yeah.
you believe it? Even me as a massive David Letterman
No,
fan, I'm
yeah,
proclaiming
I
I've
understand,
always hated
yeah.
that theater to do that show.
Yeah. Well, you can feel that if being a Letterman fan, you can feel the difference between that and the older show just because the community
Yeah.
that was created in another one. Even now, I remember when Colbert made the switch to that theater, I was like, oh.
Got colder still.
It's very cold now. There was something about, I don't know, it was Letterman at that height.
Personally, I think it was Hal back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
It was something about the way he moved the crew around.
Right.
It was alive. It was an energy.
Yeah.
And that is actually what I fell in love with back in the day when I was a kid. It wasn't even Letterman. It was it was when I was a little kid. It was Mr. Rogers who was talking to me,
Right,
and
dude.
then had his own little
Yeah.
play set, and he was doing, explaining how things worked to me, pulling the curtain back on life. And then when I got a little bit older, found Dave, and he was the guy doing that.
Yeah.
But I was much more enamored with the play set, hence the late night play set.
Yes, yeah.
All of the people, all of this crazy equipment, and all of the stuff that was just, he was a madman. He could just push buttons.
Right
and
there,
make,
yes,
make
exactly.
things
Stuff
happen.
under the thing.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
It's just,
Right.
you never even knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that to me was the coolest part.
It's the best, and some of that's taken away by the bigger place, the balcony,
All of it. It's just so removed, just life.
Yeah.
We haven't turned those on in a while, so it's a little bit. It's not really blowing them out. I think it needs a little more, but the bubble machine. Turning everything on. See my point? We have the radioactive steam down here too. I don't think that's warmed
fantastic. Oh my God, what a throwback!
And you get it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's right. Like that stuff that. Again, what would it have taken to have bubbles all across the Ed Sullivan Theater, right?
Right.
Like,
They made it snow a couple times.
Yeah, the monkey cam or all the different stuff they'd have come in. Like, again,
that would have been great.
Yeah.
It would have been almost fun, but they were no longer doing the kids. They've given the kids the keys to the adults' place set.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
It was that point they were all trying to be adulty.
Exactly.
So a zip line from the balcony would have been great.
Of course.
But they were playing it
They were
kinda
doing it.
cool.
Well, I always say that's the
show grew up.
And the angle. Sometimes, there's so much we get pushed into. Like I was talking about, we could only use a minute of my set on Letterman, so we intersperse this. Well, it comes out better than that way.
Just like his show in the beginning.
Just like his show. They put him in a corner and say, you can't do this and this and this. And you think, oh, well, you got all these restrictions. Well, that forces you to do something better. And it was better than when he got wide open and you could do anything, because then they...
Agreed.
Yeah.
Howard Stern on satellite radio in the first year, it was like...
Right, yeah.
Just because you can say fuck.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You go back to the whole thing with all the restrictions and pushing up against that line, all that kind of stuff.
So a guy like me with all of that DNA, when somebody says, you're starting a podcast, and you're doing it on YouTube, well, 3 minutes is max, 13 minutes is probably as much as you want to do, and you don't do too many, and all this stuff, we bucked everything. Video, what are you doing video?
Right.
Why are you spending so much time on lighting?
Right.
Why you...
Right. That's the stuff that comes out. I remember just... Again, this is a little tangent, but doing in college, taking a film class, I do something on Robert Altman. I don't know how deep
great, yeah.
And he's one of those guys, hated the studios, hated it, always wanted to do his own things. And if you look back now at his catalog, his best stuff ends up being the ones where the studios kind of over his shoulder a little bit.
Every best team.
Just, that kind of thing. Once
checks and balances.
Yeah, once you're wide open... you can't check yourself that way. And again,
people don't. They want to be people like me.
Yeah.
You probably want to be an artist, and whatever I think is the best thing ever.
Yes, exactly. You're left to it when the creativity with the restriction.
You need restrictions and boundaries.
Is the birth of some great stuff.
That's awesome. Elephant in the room. How's your health, man?
Fantastic. I mean, obviously, I said
Thank
2005
God.
is when this happened. That was an incredibly rough year. There was a couple cents where I've had to have surgery and that kind of stuff. But
all related to the original.
It was stage 4 cancer.
Liver, right?
Yeah. Intestinal cancer that spread to my liver.
Spread to the liver. Okay.
So that's it's one of those things like I never knew. Like, well, you have cancer in your liver, so I have liver cancer. No, like you know what I mean. It's those things you don't know as an amateur. What cancer's on my liver?
I always come back to doesn't matter. I have a thing.
Like, that's exactly it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I mean.
My dad was brain and everything, but he had lung cancer.
Right.
But he died from the brain cancer.
Right.
And the
exactly.
bone cancer.
So that's what I mean. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
like,
doesn't matter.
People are always. Someone I remember a year in was like. Said, well, you're, and this is the year where it was the worst, where I was in the hospital a bunch and surgeries, and they're, looking for where it came from and all that kind of stuff. And someone was like, well, you're a cancer survivor. And I was like, sir, no, I'm not. I'm fighting the hell out of this. What are you talking about? Like a survivor? Like, isn't that a survivor someone who gets through it? And they're like, no, as long as you're living. And that's one of those things I didn't know.
I mean,
what does the nomenclature even mean to it? You know what I mean?
That's for
that
other people.
Thing.
That's one of the things you realize by
yeah.
going through something like that is so many of those things are for other people.
Yeah, I was
that's
like,
the same thing with people asking you questions and stuff. A lot of times that's for them. That's why I really like how you've learned how to take it with grace. A lot of people, probably with you, hey, how's it going? What's going on? Like the simple question like that is the worst for her because she's always bad. It always sucks. She's always in pain. She's always got a cane. Like, that's built in.
Right. Yeah, and you don't want to feel like,
Debbie Downer.
Yeah, right. I want to let you know that I'm fighting against COVID, but
like
you find out that a lot of stuff doesn't matter to you.
Yes, exactly.
Like you were saying earlier about comedy, it's like read the room. Like you can see what's going on if you slow down and look. You know, so it's like I have gotten, thank you. I've gotten a little bit more better about it, but like it's
Taking it with grace and just smiling and being like, I'm good. I'm
Sure,
great.
right.
I'm happy to be here today. Every day is a
Right,
gift.
right.
You know, that's the truth.
I like laughing though, and so you're a comedian, and you've helped me do it. Like, so it seems counterproductive for people that are like, "But you're dying." I'm like,
Oh, my
I
God.
know, but I
yes.
like laughing.
Right. I'm going to die laughing.
It's the
That's
great.
great.
I mentioned Schimmel earlier in the show, and if anyone, people immediately were like, "It's got to be good material, right? All this cancer stuff, right? Got to have a lot of good cancer stuff." And people would always be like, "Why don't you do jokes about cancer?" And I was like, Robert Schimmel became a guy that was fantastic at sharing that kind of thing that we go through and these thoughts and stuff.
He was
I've even
gruff but
still-
lovable
yes.
because of it. Somehow his cancer softened him up and made him more relatable.
Yeah, that's a great way to
Made him
put it.
more
Because he
for
was,
me anyway.
Yeah, he was much harsher. You're right. It made him
So
brought him
talented,
to
so
a-
great,
yes.
but he was. I mean, he's
Great
kind of
both
more
ways.
of a angry guy.
But I've never been able to. Bring really that to the stage. And part of I think that is when I perform for cancer groups, I talk a lot about it and we laugh a bunch about it. But people on the outside, they don't. That seems like you can't joke
So
about
taboo.
that.
Not
Cancer
okay.
or a
Not okay.
diseased person has never said you can't laugh about that thing because that's exactly what you do. That's how you get
Right.
through life.
You know.
But people like to be offended from the outside, like,
Yeah.
oh no, that's too.
If it
serious.
doesn't affect them at all, they're highly offended.
Yes, exactly. That's my job. While you're
Cheers.
fighting this is to be offended on your
That's
behalf.
right.
Yes.
We're all doing our piece.
We'll do our part. I'll handle this for you.
You sit this one out.
You
You're
sit
sick.
it out. You're fighting.
sick.
You're fighting your fight. I'll handle the PR for you.
And how is your wife?
She's
Are you still married?
fantastic.
Are you
Yes,
still married?
yeah.
Should have started with that.
Yes, still married. Again, one of the things that you see in the movie, we knew each other. We were dating 8 months when this happened. When I get in our mid 30s,
So new.
stage 4 cancer, 5 years, worst case scenario. If the roles were reversed, and if she's a woman in her mid 30s, do I want to continue with this person?
Oh, this is
thinking about
interesting.
settling down and planning a family. This guy's probably not going to. That the doctors are telling us this guy isn't going to be here.
Yes.
Why that she stuck with me through that? It's amazing. I mean, again, it's one of those when I'm alone and I think about it myself, I get very choked up thinking about it because it's the greatest.
I'm doing a slow push right now.
Oh, it's the
Slow
greatest.
push.
Where
There
do
we
I
go.
look?
There it is. Right there.
It's the greatest example of humanity that I've seen because I don't even know had the roles been reversed if I would have done that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know now
you-
I love this person and what we've created over these 15 years. But at that point, it was 8 months.
You don't know, but I do, and you would have.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I like to think I would, but I don't know.
I still
Yeah.
telling the story say, oh, I don't know if I would. Oh, wait, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
She literally said to me one day, and it was less than a year in. Wasn't it about a year in?
Was that okay? So you
When
guys,
she was
similar.
going through,
All right.
she had the blind spots and all the stuff, and we started going through the doctors and everything. And when
Yeah.
it became, you have multiple sclerosis, the tears and everything else, and the shock and everything else. But when we came home, she's like, "You didn't sign up for this. You didn't
Yeah,
sign up for this." She
right.
gave me the out for months while we were going through it.
Yeah.
I guess I did sign up for this.
You did,
And
yeah.
so did you.
Yeah, I guess.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
but
It's weird.
Did you ever have kids?
No, we didn't.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
we
I'm
didn't.
sorry to bring that up because that's
No,
part of
that's
the movie
okay,
as well.
yeah.
I equate it to getting the download of like when you have kids.
Yeah.
And you get that like, there's an understanding, and there's a whole different thing, and it's what's
Right.
really important in life, and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. It's almost like you get that awareness from somewhere when it's necessary.
You make a good point. I only think of it from my narcissistic ego self.
You're a
of it.
comedian. You
and
should
I,
be.
And I see I see what she did for me and how that affects me. And again, the power of that doesn't allow me to see the other side. Then that what I would have felt. I only see the sacrifice she made. I've never been able to think of it from that other way. Like, oh my God, how would I have reacted if she was telling me that kind of thing? It is that thing where, listen, you both have that diagnosis, right? I always think about
That's
that.
what I used to
that
call it
man.
our MS.
Yeah, it really is. Do I have time for a quick story on that?
We're out of time.
Are we out?
Sure, no, go ahead.
And next time. We'll do it next time.
But actually, I'm bringing
No.
this will be your choice, but
Yeah.
we didn't cover anything but this movie. I would love it if you would come back and we can just shoot the shit on
Yeah, I
whatever.
would love that.
because
That would be
first of all,
fantastic,
you're
yes.
incredibly easy to talk to. We clearly
Oh,
have
I
a
hope
rapport.
so. Yeah, you guys were great.
And
I
this
think
really
that's
was
your
just
credit.
all about I'm dying
yeah,
to do
dying
Letterman.
to do Letterman. Yeah. Yeah.
So do you want to tell the story today or come back?
Well, yeah, because this only has to do with this, and
let's hear it.
it will play into exactly what
Then
I'm sure
please,
you have done,
let's hear
and
it.
people even going back to the, can you make jokes about this and that kind of thing.
Beautiful.
We
It's a
were
great
so
way to end.
confident when I got this. You see in the movie, I had an appendectomy. That's what they thought it was. When I came home that night and had pain, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she's like, "Oh, you got food poisoning. You were at the comedy club.
Yeah.
It's bad food, right?" So I go in for an appendectomy. I wake up and they say your appendix was fine, but here's an oncologist.
But we took it anyway.
Yeah, there's right. Yeah, exactly.
Your appendix was fine and gone.
So they say you have tumors all over your liver. We're going to run tests on them. Monday you'll go meet with an oncologist.
I don't know
Okay,
much
so-
about medicine. Is this like cops? Can they have planted those tumors?
Right, exactly. They put
You
them
guys
in.
were in there. Everything was fine.
Wait a second.
Wait
I
a
was
second.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that wouldn't have. They even said that still doesn't explain the pain. So it's one of those lucky things that they went in. Right.
It's
Weird.
the right side, but it's the wrong place.
But it was
It's
it
the
was
wrong
too high.
area.
They're like they shouldn't have been causing you that pain. You might have cramping, but not with that.
Yeah.
Long story short, my wife or girlfriend at the time, she had just started a new job. So that Monday, when I had to go to get the test results, she was like, "I'll tell them I can't come in." That was going to be her first day. I was like, "No. You're lying to yourself a bit. You're like, I'm sure it's going to be fine. I was 35. Like
It's nothing. Yeah.
It's
This
nothing.
won't be
It's
a-
nothing."
yeah.
So I convinced her not to go, and I think it was hopeful. Like, if she comes, that's making it dire. You know
Right,
what I
right,
mean?
right,
like
right.
that. It's going to be fine.
Jinx it.
These are going to come back, and they're going to be benign, right? Like, don't worry. I'll call you and be like, "Hey, good news. Everything was fine." So I brought my friend Lee, who was like my best buddy. He came with me, and so we're in the doctor's office, very small room, and the doctor is kind of, not vague. He doesn't come out and say cancer. He doesn't look me in the eye. And he says finally the tumor's malignant and blah blah blah. And so then it kind of clicks. No, malignant's not the good
No,
thing,
it's
right?
the opposite,
And I look
yeah.
over, and my friend Lee, who was my best buddy, who came with me in place of the woman I love at that point, is on his phone. And he's looking at his phone, and he doesn't look up at me, and I know him. He's the kind of guy that's distracted a lot, and he's a little spacey, and he was maybe high, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. But here's the guy I brought for support, and he's on his phone. And so I remember, like, my girlfriend and then my wife talking about that for like a year afterwards. Like, I couldn't believe how unsupportive he was. Like, he was supportive when we left and hand on me, but in that
But
moment,
not
right?
present in
yeah,
that
not
moment.
present. I was just like, that's just Lee. I can't believe it. Blah. And so we had talked about that years. I can't believe it. And she's like, I should have come. All this kind of thing. So that story is always in my head. Him and I are driving maybe like 5 years ago on a road trip together. And somehow the cancer stuff, and he's like, I can't believe, you're still here. This is so great. We were really worried. He starts choking up, and he goes, I remember that day in the office. I couldn't look at you. So I pulled my phone out right before he gave the report, and I couldn't look up at you. And here's this story I had created forever, that he was and for his own, he had the diagnosis too. His best friend.
Yep.
So to your point, I can't understand the other side. It took something like that for me to understand he got the diagnosis that day that his
Yep.
friend is dying.
Yep.
So
It's us all.
it's something that we don't understand until we get smacked in the face with it. It really is. We're all going through that.
I love making everybody cry in the old late night playset.
Good job. We all have something.
Yeah,
So if you
exactly.
know
We're all
someone that
going,
has
yeah.
something, you have it too.
Yeah, you really do.
When Kevin started talking to us about you and then telling us the story and then watching the movie, I was just like, there's so much here. There's so much. I
Yeah.
have to know this guy. I have to get to know this
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
And, certainly have the conversation, but I want to know you further.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and
thanks.
keep
Yeah,
up.
and again, listen, like you said, you guys are so fantastic, easy to talk to, and yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up then today, but let's definitely do it again because we've gone very late.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm sorry if again, it's one of those.
No, it's
I
'cause
think
I
it's a
want every-
testament how
I
easy you
wanna
guys
know
are to
every
talk
detail.
to. Yeah, just start spilling stuff and.
No, I want to know every detail, and
yeah.
I really want you to come back so we can talk about the rest, but also the other side of things once you've seen Late Show 25,
I can't
because
wait.
I really think you're going to
Okay.
be blown away.
All right,
I
yeah.
really, really do, and I think you're going to have a much different understanding of why we're trying to get David Letterman here.
Okay, fantastic.
And it's gonna,
yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's I mean, we're gonna make a documentary out of this whole
I
thing.
think,
It'll probably be an
again,
Apatow movie
I was just
someday.
going to say, yeah, you need to be having. Hopefully, these cameras are recording.
We've
stuff
recorded most of
off-
this,
off
except
of-
for that one part where yours
off
went.
of-
I don't know what
no,
that was all about.
even outside this, because you do. This is again. I felt when you said, "Oh, I talked to someone this morning," when I was standing over there, I was like,
You
yeah,
get the
kinda,
goosebumps.
Yeah, right.
'Cause
I was
you've
like,
had it.
you
You've
know,
had that experience.
Yeah,
You've been
you
there.
know that. Yeah, that door's been cracked. You don't know how far it's going to open or whatever, but you know you've.
Or at the very least, you're knocking on the right one, and you know that's the one, and they know you're knocking.
Yes, yeah, that's such a big deal. Yeah.
And they
Thanks.
didn't say, "Please stop knocking."
Right, they didn't ignore the knock.
That's
Yes,
huge.
exactly.
That's huge.
Uh-huh.
Steve Mazan, this has been so much fun for me.
Yeah,
I don't
thank
even
you
know
guys.
where
It was
to.
fun for me.
I don't even
Thanks
know
for,
where to
yeah,
start.
Thanks for having me.
It's totally. I am almost happy that it didn't happen last week.
Yeah.
It got the build up and everything else.
Oh,
and the
that's
hoopla.
yeah. And again, yeah. I apologize, whichever.
Stop
came
that.
first.
Apologize. Stop it.
I turned
So
the
much
tally
fun.
lights off because most people, it's just too confusing. Every time it comes on, they look at it.
They go, oh, I see.
So I turned them off.
Now I'm thinking, just like I was on Letterman, I was like, Nicole and Jay won't kick me off if I just keep talking.
That's right.
I could stay here forever.
You could stay here.
I could just keep. I'm going to do all the jokes I was going to do on Letterman. What are they going to do? Throw me out of their place?
Are you on, this is where we do the social media stuff and
Yes.
the check-ins and plugs and everything else. Are you on the social media?
I am. You can find me at Steve Mazan, Mazan.
Okay.
One of them has like a underscore because there was another Steve Mazan, or I had one that I couldn't figure out how to get back into
Oh
later.
my goodness gracious.
But anyway, Steve Mazan, Mazan. If you put that into any of those, you'll find me. Comedian. Yeah, I would love to have people come out and
What
see a
about
show.
any dates coming up or anything? You're
Yeah,
working
I'm
all
going
the
to.
time.
In
I know
fact,
that.
I'm going to. I'm on the road a bunch, but one that's coming up next month. Any Chicagoland people?
Ooh, hometown.
Kind of going back home, headlining Zanies in the suburbs.
You're
St.
doing
Charles.
Zanies? That's a
Zanies.
great
Yeah.
place.
So yeah, I'm excited. That'll be a good one.
No affiliation with Bob Zaney.
None.
Who has
Which-
been here.
How has that not happened? Right?
feel
that
like-
guy should be only doing Zanies.
I feel like Randy Lubis and Bob Zaney should open up some comedy clubs together. And oh, wait a second, I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know how it's gonna work. You're awesome, man.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thanks for having me. And
Thanks for being
thanks for being so welcoming. Yeah.
It would be really funny, right? Come on over to our house to do our show, and we're just like,
No,
bring
but
your
I
own
mean,
nuts, bring your own
there's
coffee.
Listen, you didn't Letterman me. You didn't. There were like signs when I came in. Go sit down. We'll meet you once the
Oh my
cameras
God,
start
I know,
rolling.
I
You know
know.
what I mean? Like
Totally
Yeah.
different.
Well, hi. Friendly. Yes. You're fantastic.
Someday. No, I'm just kidding. Totally
That would be
removed.
great.
Totally
if,
removed.
if you went the other
That's
way.
my
Yeah,
goal.
Yes. It got bigger and bigger and more. You kind of got a
removed.
jerk.
More
Became a
removed.
jerk as they were there. Watch the early shows. They were so nice. Oh my gosh. And then it'd be rude to people later. What the hell happened?
God, it's the asshole hour. Mrs. Ryan, who do we have tomorrow? Joshua Mann. Is that a comedian?
Comedian.
All right.
Yeah.
You know Joshua Mann?
I don't know Josh.
fan.
How's he spell it? M-A-N-N?
Yes.
J-O-S-H-U-A. And then Thursday we've got Brittany Leister, who is a photographer, and she's in the Porsche world, and people seem to know her, so that's
Yeah.
good stuff too. I think that's it. Is that everything?
I believe so.
In that case, Mrs. Ryan, I love you so very much.
I love you too.
Steve, we love you so
I
very
love you
much.
guys. Thank
you
you.
so much for being
Yeah.
here. We love everybody at home. Please love one another, and we will see you tomorrow with that guy I mentioned before,
Joshua
Joshua Man. See you there. Hey, Boogie Nights! He's about to pull it out. See you tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steve Mazan.
Thank you. Good evening. Great to be here in New York City. The show put me up at a great hotel. I am not used to that. I stayed at a place last week. When I checked in, they gave me a key. A key. Not a key card, a key. I was like, oh my God, did I just win a car? Did I win No, I didn't win a car. This is my room key? I like the keychain. I like how you put my room number on there. That's great. That way, if I lose it, the person who finds it can also find out exactly where I'm keeping all my valuable stuff. This is an excellent tradition you've put in place. Come on, any decent place has now switched to the credit card swiper thing. Any place still giving you a key is basically saying, welcome. We haven't renovated in the past 40 years. Enjoy your stay. And the typewriter in our business center. But I'll tell you what, I like the key better. You know why? Because the key always works. You never go up 10 flights of stairs with a key. No, 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 no. Swiper thing never works for me the first time. I'm tired, I've been traveling all day, I got my bags, I finally get up 10 flights of stairs to my room. Red. Red. Not gonna happen. My wife is with me, she wants to help out. You're doing it wrong. You think I don't know how to operate a door? You think if you weren't here with me, I would just, fall asleep in the hallway and not try anything else? You just need to drop it in the slot and let go. Just drop it in the slot and let go. Oh, red, no. Okay, try and swipe it really fast. What happened to your first strategy? Why are we giving up on that so quickly? No stick-to-itiveness whatsoever? You just expect me to try something new without acknowledging that first idea went nowhere? Just swipe it really fast. No, any other ideas? Okay. Drop it in, let go, and then don't look at it. What the hell are you talking about? Why would it matter if I was looking at it or not? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Is it working? I can't look at it. You look at it for me. I can tell by the red in your eyes it is not working. So you have to start over, right? You got to grab all your bags, go all the way back downstairs to the front desk. They're never apologetic. They blame you. They're like, oh, it's not working? Did you put the key card next to something? Like a magnet? A magnet? Did you say a magnet? Who do I look like? Wile E. Coyote? Where would I find a magnet between here and the 10th floor? No. Is there a magnet store here in the hotel? Then no, it was in my wallet. Oh, yeah, you can't do that. Why not? Well, because your credit cards and your wallet, those will demagnetize it. Oh, really? Well, you should put a little note on here that says, this does not play well with other things that look exactly like it. I'm going to recharge it, sir, and when I hand it back to you, don't put it in your wallet or any of your pockets. Whoa, no pockets either? Well, why not? Well, because you probably have like coins in there or a cell phone or car keys. Those will all demagnetize it. Okay, well, I do need to get the key up to my room somehow. Do you have one of those Star Trek things back there that could zap it up? We could arrive at about the same time. Do you have one of those notes? Or don't be ridiculous. That's just, you're being silly. Sir, it's very simple. I'm going to recharge it when I hand it back to you. Just hold it over your head, away from every other object on planet Earth, and then walk up to your room like you're the Statue of Liberty, up 10 flights of stairs, and when you get to your room, at the door, just drop it in, let go, and don't look at it.
and gentlemen. Very funny. Thank you very much for being here. Steve Mazan. We'll be right back with the Magnetic Zero. Thank you, sir. Good job.
That was awesome. Thank you. We hit all these, you know, the from the cancer angle, the Jim Valvano, you know, that
What?
That's, speech, you know him? Do you know him?
No.
So he was